Hello everyone, am I audible? So just you can say us if you're able to hear me.
Yes.
Yes, Sudhanshu.
Okay, fine. So let's start with the session, guys. So in today's session, so we will be talking about a Python, and in last session, so we were talking about like how this class is going to happen and basically like what and all facilities we are going to give you. And apart from that, so I think most of you have a dashboard access, and those who don't have a dashboard access, please do connect with a support team. So Skype ID for a support team is support@the rate of aniron.ai. And as we have discussed many times in the last class as well. So from today onwards, so we are going to start up with the technical discussions. And first of all, I will be talking about installation. So installation of Anaconda, installation of like a PyCharm, and what and all alternate tools are available. Let's suppose like you are not able to execute a Python code in your local machine. So what you should do in that case, what and all alternatives are available, and many more things. And then we'll try to start with the basic of Python. So fine guys, as we have already discussed in a last class, and I've asked you to install Anaconda. So if you will go to like Google, and then if you'll try to search for Anaconda downloads, you will be able to get this link. And through this link, you will be able to download Anaconda for your respective system. So if you are using Windows machine, so yes, here is a file that you will be able to get. If you are using a Mac machine, so here is a file. And if you are having a Linux machine, so this is the file. And again, so make sure that you always install a Python 3.7. So you're not supposed to install 2.7 because 2.7 is a little bit irrelevant. And I would say in a current environment, so we don't use Python 2.x. We always use Python 3.x, maybe 3.5, 3.6, 3.7. Doesn't matter at all. In certain cases, I would say yes, it does matter, and we will try to explore those cases going forward. But as of now, just try to install these things, and I think you will be fine. Most of you, 99% of you, are not going to face any kind of a issue with respect to installation, but some of you for sure are going to face some kind of a issue while doing this installation. Don't worry about that. Connect with the support team. They will help you out, and they will help you out with respect to installation as well. If you are not able to install, if you are not able to do this installation in your local machine, it's completely fine. I will be talking about alternative options as well, where you can directly go and you can directly try to practice all of your Python code. And my sincere advice to each and every one of you will be to practice with me. So whatever code I'm going to write, whatever things I'm going to discuss, so try this out then and there, so that you will not have to spend an extra hour to practice to go through all of those things. And when we will try to upload an assignment, because we are going to give you assignment as well inside your dashboard, so you can start attempting those assignments, which will be helpful. So you will not waste a time again in terms of a practice. And again, I will try to take these things a little bit slow in a first place for a couple of days, and then I will try to pick up speed. So because I completely understand that my entire audience is not coming from the programming background. Some of you are freshers, some of you are coming from a non-technical background. And at the end of this session, so for sure, I will be taking care of some of the questions. In between, if you have any kind of a question, so people who have joined through YouTube, so you can try to post your question over there, and my people will respond back. And people who have joined through a Zoom link, so they can try to post their question in Q&A section. You will be able to find out. And again, so you will be able to get a response. Now, so I'm just going to paste this link inside your chat box so that you will be able to install this Anaconda. You will be able to go through this link immediately and quickly. So now this link is available over there, and I'm requesting my support team to paste a same link in a YouTube. So whatever link I'm going to paste over here, so that people will not face any kind of a problem. Now, coming back to this distribution, I asked you to install Anaconda. That is true. Now, Anaconda is not the only option by which you will be able to execute your Python code. There are many more ways. Even without doing an installation, you will be able to do a Python coding. I'm just talking about Python coding. I'm not saying that you will be able to complete your project. So don't tell me like after some time that you told me that, okay, so you can do everything by using an online editor. No, I'm not making that kind of a statement. There is a certain limitation, and I think you will be able to, you will get to know about that, what all limitations are there. So those who thinks that we can do everything into a Google Colab or maybe some online like a Python editor, so that's not true completely. It is having certain kind of a limitation. We will try to explore those limitations as well going forward in our session. So I asked you to install this Anaconda, and find if you have already installed this Anaconda. So what you can do is you can try to press your Windows button. If you are using a Mac machine, then Command and Space you can try to press, and then you can try to search for ANA. Now, when you will try to search for ANA, CONDA, so there you will be able to get two things. One is the Anaconda Prompt, and another one is the Anaconda Navigator. So one by one, I will be talking about both. I will be talking about what is the Anaconda Prompt, what is the Anaconda Navigator, because these things are important. So if I'll go to Anaconda Navigator, if you will click over here, so after some time, you will be able to get this kind of a screen. Now, so guys, those who are using i3 system or i5 system, it will take some time. So don't worry about that. It takes some time to launch when I'm talking about Anaconda Navigator. That's the reason. So I said, I will be talking about a difference between Anaconda Prompt and Anaconda Navigator. So this is going to take maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of time in your system, depends upon your system capacity. So fine, basically Anaconda. So Anaconda is, I would say, it's a kind of an open source tool. And again, Anaconda is available for the enterprise edition as well, where so you pay for the license and then you try to avail the services. But as a free user, you will be able to use Anaconda inside your local system without any kind of a dependencies with the online system, I would say. And you will be able to execute a Python code. You will be able to execute even R code. R is another programming language, just like a Python, widely used for a statistical processing of the data set. So you will be able to use like this Anaconda, and Anaconda is basically a distribution. Now, what is the meaning of distribution? So distribution is nothing but a kind of a bundle of libraries. Now, so it's not mandatory to use Anaconda. There is a other alternative as well. If I'm looking for just a Python, I can go to Python website, because Python is also open source programming language. You can go to Python like a Python website, Python open source website, python.org, and then you can try to download a binaries, and then you can try to execute a Python code. That is also fine. So no need to install Anaconda, anything. So all this UI and all those things. So you're not supposed to take a pain. You will be able to execute a Python code. But there are certain packages. There will be some dependencies which will comes in between in terms of a different packages like pandas, numerical Python, NumPy, matplotlib, plotly, cufflinks, scikit, scipy, TensorFlow, keras, TensorFlow 1.x, 2.x, again PyTorch, right? Like a OpenCV. So these are a different kind of a libraries. So when you will try to install a Python binary, a raw Python, so in raw Python, you will not be able to get all of those bundles. And for every installation, so you will have to do lots and lots of system environment setup. You will have to do lots and lots of, I can say, like a path variable setup. And you will have to take a pain to keep your system in sync between different library versions. Now, this is where Anaconda comes into a picture with a beautiful feature. So if you are using Anaconda, again, I'm not saying that in Anaconda, all those libraries will be available. No, it will not be available. But if at some point of time, I'm working into a machine learning, deep learning, NLP, reinforcement learning project, so it will be very easy for me. Sometime, again, this statement will be false. So it will be very easy for me to maintain all of those packages, to maintain all of those libraries, which I'm looking for to build a project. Again, so suppose if I wanted to create a multiple environment, because in your project, you are going to see that we try to create a various environment. If I'll try to show you my Anaconda, I have created more than 50 plus environment for my deep learning, machine learning, and all of those different projects. So when you're working into a different project, so at that point of a time, you have to install a different kind of a dependencies with a different version of the libraries. And this is where Anaconda will try to make your life easier as compared to a raw binary installation of a Python. And that's the reason. So most of us across our industry in our first place, so we try to use Anaconda so that everything will be able to accumulate in a single possible places. So it's completely fine. So that's the reason Anaconda is called as a distribution. It's a bundle. It's basically a bundle of libraries, many more libraries. Now, so if I wanted to check that what and all libraries are available, so I think this screen is visible to you. And if you will go to environment, so in this particular section, so you will be able to see a name of all the libraries, all the possible libraries. These are the environments. So in your system, if you have installed Anaconda for the first time, you will not be able to see these things. Don't worry about that. So don't try to compare with my screen, because this part will not be visible. You will be able to see only this base environment as of now. So I have created a multiple virtual environment inside that, because I try to execute many more deep learning, reinforcement learning, NLP and ML project. And going forward, you will do a same thing. So now then you will be able to understand that how to create a virtual environment. And guys, it's not a big deal at all. It just takes a 30 seconds of time to do that. So don't worry, we'll learn all of those things. So here you will be able to find out all a different kind of libraries. Now, if I wanted to install some libraries, that is also possible. And I will be able to install very easily any kind of libraries inside my Anaconda distribution. So by using an Anaconda Navigator or by using an Anaconda Prompt. So in both the ways, you will be able to install any kind of libraries. So going forward, we'll learn like as we will progress in our section, a different section, and mostly in a project section, because there we need a lots and lots of dependencies. We have to resolve it. And then we will try to understand that where and how we'll be able to perform these kind of operations. So fine. I will go to my home tab of this particular Anaconda, and here you will be able to see a various different kind of a tab. Now, so as of now, as a beginner, if you are just trying to kickstart with a Python, so you are not like you're not supposed to worry about this kind of all the different tabs. What you can try to use is, you can try to use either a Jupyter Lab or a Jupyter Notebook as a beginner. But I'm not saying that to implement a project, you have to do the same. So don't think that even you will be able to do a complete full-fledged modular coding and modular package building or modular like a deployable project by using a Jupyter Notebook or by using a Jupyter Lab. So just in a later stage, don't come back to me and tell me that, no, you said these things in a first class. No, I made these things very clear to every one of you that we will try to like kickstart, we will try to start utilizing this Jupyter Lab and a Jupyter Notebook just as a beginner. But going forward, we are going to change our strategy when we will try to do a project. And then in a project section, I will tell you how to use basically a PyCharm or how to use a VS Code to build a full-fledged end-to-end project and deploy those projects into a cloud environment or into a local server. So I will be talking about that, but yes, as of now, we all are just a beginner. So let's start with a Jupyter Notebook. I think that will be great, right? So here is a Jupyter Notebook and a Jupyter Lab. You can launch anything, not a problem at all. So you can try to launch any of these things. You can use Spider as well. Some of you are using it. That is not a concern at all. So to launch this Jupyter Notebook, so you can just try to click over here. So if you will try to click over here, maybe it can take 30 seconds of time to launch it. And it will launch this Jupyter Notebook inside your browser. And it is going to show you all of your, so it is going to show you all of your C drive or in whatever drive you have installed this Jupyter Notebook. So it will show you each and every directory structure. So Jupyter Notebook is basically a web-based Python editor. So you will be able to write down each and every code inside a Jupyter notebook. Now, so Jupyter notebook is a web-based Python editor. Jupyter notebook never executes your code. Jupyter notebook never compiles your code. Jupyter notebook never interprets your code basically. So it tries to send your code to a Python kernel. Because again, what is kernel? Many of you will ask me same question, like what is kernel, what is compiler, what is interpreter? So I will be talking about that, don't worry. But this Jupyter notebook never executes a code. It's just a web-based, I would say, IDE, integrated development environment, where you can try to write your Python code, execute it, it will send a code to the Python kernel. Python kernel will respond. So maybe it can try to interpret or it can try to compile. Python is both. Python is interpreted language as well as Python is a compiled language. Again, many of you are going to ask a question, or many of you are going to raise a concern that why you are saying that Python is an interpreted language or Python is a compiled language. You can go to Google, you can try to search. Python supports actually both, and there is a minor difference in between. I think in a future class I will be talking about it, but yes, just to make you understandable. So Python is both interpreted as well as a compiled language. So Jupyter notebook never executes, interpret or compiles your code. It tries to send your code to a Python kernel. So here it will try to execute your code and send back to a Jupyter notebook, and it will try to display you a result. This is how it happens. So through the API. So again, what is API? Application Programming Interface. I will be talking about that as well. So in a bits and pieces. So here it tried to send a code in a backend, and then it tried to receive a response after execution, successful or a failed execution. And then it tried to show you a final result or maybe an error inside your Jupyter notebook. So fine. So this is how you will be able to launch a Jupyter notebook. Now, once you are able to launch a Jupyter notebook, let's suppose I wanted to write some code. So what I can do is, so I can try to go to this new section, and then I can try to opt for Python 3. So because we have installed 3.x version, so majorly 3.6 or 3.7 version you have installed. So you can try to click over here in Python 3, and then so you will be able to see this kind of a interface, this kind of a local, I would say, a web pages you will be able to see. Now, so here you will be able to get many more options: file, edit, view, insert, cell, and all those things. I will be talking about that. So here, what I can do is I can try to write like a 1 plus 1. And here, if I'm going to write 1 plus 1, so you will be able to see that, yes, after execution, so I'm able to get an answer. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So it means my Jupyter notebook is working fine, just for the testing, I would say. So it means my Jupyter notebook is working completely fine. I will be able to write any kind of a Python code over here, any line of the Python code over here, and then I will be able to execute. Now for the execution, so you will be able to find out that there are many tabs. There are like many tabs you can create, 1,000, millions, whatever number of the tab you wanted to create, you can create it, and you will be able to write any number of the line of the code inside this particular single tab itself. So here I'm trying to write like a 1 plus 1. If I will try to execute it, yes, I'm able to get an answer. So for execution, either you can use shortcut Shift Enter, or you can try to click over here, run, and you will be able to run it as a Python code, I would say. So here, like, yes, I have just verified that my Jupyter notebook is working fine in this particular place, and I'm able to execute a code. Now here you will be able to find out a multiple option. If you have to create a new notebook again, even from here, you will be able to launch a brand new notebook, and where you can start working, or you can start writing your code. Again, if I have to rename my Jupyter notebook, I can rename it to anything. That is not a problem at all. Again, the beautiful feature of a notebook that you will be able to find out is, like, even though if I'm not able to remember to save my code, Jupyter notebook saves your code internally. It tries to create a checkpoints automatically, or saving points automatically after certain time interval. So suppose if I'm working on some code, and maybe if I forget to save my code, still there is a very like a low chances that you will be or you will not be able to get back those code. It's completely fine. You will be able to get back your code immediately and very easily, I would say, if you are working into a Jupyter notebook, because it saves automatically. It's a beautiful feature that has been given by a Jupyter notebook. Now here, so you will be able to find out many more options. So you can save these things to any location. You can make a copy. You can save to the checkpoint. Checkpoint means, so whatever work you have done as of now, save it. So freeze it till this point. That is called as a checkpoint. So that even if your system is going to crash, no need to worry about that. You will be able to get back your code from the respective directory. Now here, so you will be able to find out download. Let's suppose so you are working into some project, and if you wanted to share your work with me with an output, so that even I will be able to execute and I will be able to check your work. So in that case, you can try to share these things with me very easily. So you can go to download as, and there are many more file formats that you will be able to observe. But if you want me, so if you want me to see the same thing, if you want me to see a same thing over here, so what you will be able to do is, so you have to basically send me back this notebook file. So notebook file always comes with the extension called as IPYNB. So if you are going to send me this kind of a file inside to me, I will be able to check each and every work that you have done, and I will be able to execute it. So find Jupyter Notebook IPYNB file. So extension of every Jupyter Notebook will be a default one, and it will be a IPYNB. But apart from that, so you can try to share a code in any of these file formats, even into a PDF format. You can download all the code. You will be able to download each and every output as well. Output with the code, not only the code. So, and then you can share these things with me, and it's completely fine. Or you can share these things with anyone. You can try to upload this code directly to a GitHub repository, or maybe you can try to upload these things on a Google Colab. All of these things are pretty much simple, and it is possible. So fine, guys. So this is how you can download it, and you can share your notebook. You can share your work with any one of them. Now there are like a add cell, remove cell, delete cell, copy cell. All those options are available. Again, so if I have to insert a cell above or below, I can do that. If I have to execute a cell, shift enter, that's a shortcut. Or else you can try to click over here, or else you can try to click on run. Now, most of you, while working with a Jupyter notebook, you will find out that my Jupyter notebook is not giving me an appropriate answer or appropriate result. No need to worry about that. It's completely fine. It happens with everyone, with me, with you, everyone. So in that case, what you have to do is, so you can try to use this option like a interrupt or restart a clear output or restart and run all. And this is going to rescue you from that particular situation where you will get stuck. Now, again, in a widget, so there are many more things which is available. So fine, let's suppose I wanted to write something, some story, and if I'll try to execute it, so it is going to give me some kind of a error over here. Now, let's suppose I wanted to treat these things not as a code, because this is not a Python code. So if it is not a Python code, if it is not a Python script, or if it is not a Python oops, so in that case, it is going to give you an issue. So suppose I wanted to create a beautiful file, just like we used to create a beautiful file in our cases. So if I'll go to maybe a download, and I can try to show you, like many more code that we have already executed or we always try to execute. So if I'll go to any of this section, and if I'll try to open up any of the Jupyter notebooks, so here you will be able to find out that inside a Jupyter notebook itself, we try to insert the images, or we try to do the write-ups, then we try to accommodate some part of a coding. So we try to do all those things inside a Jupyter notebook. So if you wanted to create this kind of a Jupyter notebook where you don't want to treat your lines as a code, so in that case, you can try to opt for the markdown or raw NB content or heading. And in that way, so for sure, if I'm going to execute now, no complaints. So it is not going to give me any kind of issue. So this is what happens. So this is just a brief idea about a Jupyter notebook. I will talk about a shortcuts as well. So while I will try to execute a code, but as of now, this is what you should know. So what we have done is, so we have like launched a Anaconda Navigator. UI based screen. And then from there, so we have launched a Jupyter notebook. You can launch a Jupyter lab as well, and both are same in terms of feature and functionalities. Just in terms of a UI, you will be able to find out a little bit of changes. So it's completely fine. You can opt for anything. Like we don't have any issue. You will not face any kind of issue. The second option, the quick option, is Anaconda Prompt. Basically, so Anaconda Prompt is basically a CMD based launching tool. And even from here, so you will be able to launch your Anaconda Navigator. You will be able to Jupyter like a notebook. You will be able to launch, I would say, like a Jupyter lab, or maybe you will try to launch a Spider. You can try to launch VS Code. You can launch everything that you want from this black screen, from this CMD screen. So what you have to do is, so for everything, so there is a different command that you will be able to find out, or you will be able to see. Now, so if I have to launch a Jupyter notebook, what I can do is I can try to type JU. So here I can try to type JUPYTRNOTBOOK. Jupyter space notebook, just hit enter, and then again it will do the same thing in my browser. In my default browser, it is going to show you the same screen, and it will be a bit quick. It will be a bit quick as compared to your UI. So generally, I always recommend people to try to launch a Jupyter notebook through a command prompt, because it will be quick. You're not supposed to wait for 2-3 minutes, and it's completely fine. So this is an option as of now, which is available in your local system, where you can try to execute your code. But this is not the only option. Like I told you, even in last class, that there is a PyCharm or there is a VS Code ID that we use. My personal favorite is a PyCharm. I generally use PyCharm, but yes, sometimes I use VS Code as well. So feel free to use any of this tool. This is just a tool, nothing related to any kind of, I would say, like a logic or something. You can just feel free. It's just a UI, so like a UI based tools, and you can try to like utilize it based on your comfort level. So fine, guys. So here I'm trying to launch basically like a Jupyter notebook from my command prompt, and yes, it's working fine for me. Apart from that, what I can do, let's suppose I'm not able to install, or maybe like I told you, so some of you are going to face this problem, and some of you are not going to install maybe Anaconda Prompt. The first option is connect with support team. Second option is, without even waiting for a support team to give you a response, still you will be able to write your Python code, and still you will be able to execute your Python code. Let's see how. So simple. Your biggest friend is your like a Google. So just go to Google and just try to type online. So ONLINE, online Jupyter notebook, and then it is going to give you a multiple options. So it is going to tell you like, okay, fine, so these are the options which is available. So there are many vendors who used to provide a free kernels, or who used to provide a free Jupyter notebook. Again, if you have participated into a KL competition, they does the same thing. So everyone is providing a Jupyter notebook kernels, and you will be able to avail it. There won't be any dependencies in between your local system and this particular one. Your internet connectivity should be good, not that good. It's completely fine. Even with the average connectivity, you will be able to execute your code. So you can try to search for an online Jupyter notebook, and then you can try to launch any of these tabs. So you will be able to get many more options. Hundreds of options are available. Hundreds of people are providing you this same Jupyter notebook kind of a thing. So I will go over here. I can try to click. It will take some time to launch, maybe a couple of seconds. And then you can start executing your code into a similar way, exact similar way that we have used, or that we were talking about in our local system. So there won't be any differences that you will be able to find out in between this and that, except one works into a local, so it is going to utilize all of your local resources, and one works into a online mode, so it will not consume any kind of resources from your local system. But yes, depends upon the net connectivity, depends upon the server availability. Sometime it is going to take like a couple of seconds or couple of minutes, as you can see in my screen. So yes, depends upon your comfort zone, or depends upon your availability of the internet connection. So you can try to use it. So here, as you can see, so it is trying to give me almost similar kind of a screen. I will just try to decommission all those things, and then I can try to again create a new file in the similar way. You will be able to find out a similar kind of interface. or from here, so I can try to launch a Python. So again, same C code, C++, R, everything you will be able to execute online itself without even doing a single installation. But the same thing is not going to work in your project path. You need some local installation, you need some local setup, so that you can try to develop a end-to-end full scale modular project, so that you will be able to deploy it in a multiple environment. But yes, for as a beginner, just use these things. And I can click on Python 3. Again, I can try to write same 1 + 1 over here. I can try to do shift enter, and I'm able to get a response. So likewise, there are many more. There are many more vendors who is available, who is providing like a online Jupyter notebook. Apart from that, one of the most favorite platform, one of the most favorite vendor you might have heard about, that is basically a Google Colab. So Google Colab is ahead of, I would say, like everyone in terms of providing you resources, in terms of providing you facilities for this Jupyter notebook, and even in terms of resources. So let's see how it is different, and let's see what are all facilities that you will be able to get. So this is just from a Jupyter, I would say, open source itself. Now I'll go to Google again, and I will try to search for a Google Colab. And yes, if I'm going to hit enter, just click on first link, and then you will be able to execute even your code. Even if you have like created some notebook, you can try to upload it. You can try to pull all of the data from your Google Drive itself. Everything is possible. Whatever you can think of, everything is possible, even into a Google Colab. It's one of the most famous and the favorite platform for many of you. But again, guys, again, there is certain limitation. In 12 hours, they try to decommission your resources. Suppose if I'm working into a deep learning project and my model is going to take maybe a 36 hour of time, because even in Google Colab, so you will be able to get some limited resources. So it's not like if I'm trying to do a training for the object detection or object segmentation, or maybe object tracking, or maybe some kind of a postnet model, or maybe some kind of an NLP model like a bot, Elmo, GPT-1, GPT-2. So I will be able to do it in a Google Colab, each and everything. Yes, testing wise, you can do it. But if I'll talk about a raw data set, if I'll talk about a training, so if your like a file, or if your entire like a bundle is going to take more than 12 hours of time, it keep on decommissioning, on reallocating our resources. So you can't do that. You need a dedicated GPU, maybe Tesla K80, maybe P4000, maybe P6000, something like that, on a like a dedicated server. This is what we like generally used to do. But for the general purposes, it's a beautiful platform that has been provided by a Google. So you should know the limitations as well when you are trying to use some kind of a resources. Unless and until you don't you don't have a knowledge about limitations, I think it's a half of the knowledge, and sometimes it's dangerous. So yeah, if I'll go to like a Google Colab file, so if I'll click on, or maybe I can try to open up my existing notebook file, or maybe I can try to use or try to click on new notebook. So if I'm going to click on new notebook, so it is going to launch a brand new notebook for me, and I will be able to execute all of my code even over here into a Google Colab. It will take some time, maybe a couple of seconds, to allocate me a resources. So here is our resources. So as of now, it's not been available. Now if I'm going to like resources means CPU, GPU, or TPU, and RAM, and your hard disk. This is called as a resources. So those guys who are just confused with that. So here, as you can see, it is allocating me a resources. It's connecting to the resources. Resources means CPU. So we need a CPU, RAM, as well as hard disk. So it is trying to initialize it, and then so I will be able to get a response into a similar way. All the functionalities and features are exactly same that you will be able to use. Limitations of this one is, so in every 12 hours, it is going to decommission. Apart from that, one of the best feature which you will be able to get in Google Colab is its computation power. By default, it tries to run all of those things in your CPU, central processing unit, just like a normal system, I would say. But apart from that, so if you will go to a runtime, and this is the extra option which is available, and change runtime type, and if you will see over here, they are providing you extensive resources as well, like a GPU. graphical processing unit, and TPU, tensor processing unit, which is way faster than your CPU, I would say. So this is the feature that you will be able to get, extra feature that you will be able to get for the faster computation and for the faster processing in a Google Colab. Many of you must be confused, or many of you have heard about a TPU just for the first time. So you can go to like our YouTube videos section, and where we have built multiple solutions by using Google NVIDIA Jetson Nano, or maybe a Google Coral. So you will be able to find out that there is a TPU integrated inside this one that is called a tensor processing unit, which is way faster in terms of execution. Again, those who are interested in knowing what is exact, what is basically a GPU, what is basically a TPU. So maybe we can connect sometime, and I will try to explain you the computer organizational architecture of that. But yeah, let's focus on Python in the first place. Just try to understand that TPU is much faster than GPU. GPU is much faster than your CPU, central processing unit. So in this way. So Google Colab provides you these options as well, which you will not be able to get in your local system, especially TPU. Maybe you must be having a 4 GB of a graphics card, NVIDIA graphics card, or maybe AMD graphics card, or maybe an integrated Intel chip itself. But TPU, you will not be able to get in your local system unless and until you are not using some kind of a edge devices like Jetson Nano or TX1 or TX2, or I can say Intel chip, or I can say like Google Coral. So in this one, so TPU comes into a picture with integration of the existing hardware itself. So fine, those are like a different story. I think we should not deviate. So fine here, so you will be able to get, I would say, like a GPU, TPU on all those things. So these are the options in terms of a Jupyter notebook, in terms of a Python code execution I was talking about. So these are the options which is available to you. You can try to avail any of these options. You can try to execute your code on any of these platforms, local or online, doesn't matter at all. And if you are facing any kind of a difficulties while doing an installation inside your local system, not to worry about that. Completely, you can, so you're not supposed to stop, and you're not supposed to wait for someone to resolve your issue. So you can start practicing your code by using online resources, or by using like a resources which is available over to some other platforms, and you can practice your code. It's completely fine, guys, and you can share this code with anyone. You can download it, you can pull the data, integrate with many other systems. You can install new things inside a Google Colab as well. Like suppose TensorFlow or Keras, if I wanted to install, again, I can do that. Exclamation marks, people install TensorFlow, exclamation marks, people install Keras. I will be able to use it. I will be able to do that. Going forward, we are going to practice all of those things as well. So guys, this is all about the introduction and all the available Jupyter notebook platform, which is available across a world, I would say, or inside your system. So hope this things make sense to each and every one of you, and all of you will be able to avail this services, and you will try to practice it. Now I'm going to start a Python coding first of all. So I will try to start from the very basic and from the variable declaration, and I will try to like guide you. I will try to teach you like how Python codes basically works. And when I'm talking about a Python coding, I will be talking about all the aspects. Like one is a scripting as well as OOPS programming concepts. So I will be talking about classes, objects, inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, abstraction, each and everything in my Python OOPS classes, as we have already published a syllabus with you. Apart from that, so I will try to start with the scripting. And in a later stage, many of you like might have heard about this scripting and OOPS programming for the very first time. So I'm just trying to take all the names so that at least it will create some kind of a mark in your brain, so that in a later stage, when I will talk about these things in detail, it will be easier for you to grasp it and to implement it. So fine, guys, I will be talking about Python coding, and just try to do permutation combinations. See, coding is all about, I would say, writing a beautiful story, right? So just start doing a coding. I will try to start from the very basic, and then I will get into a detail of each and everything. So here is a Jupyter notebook which I have launched. Now, so I will try to cut this cell like I told you. So 1 plus 1. Okay, so I think my font is big enough to like showcase. So here 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So like I told you, in any other languages, let's suppose a Java or maybe a Scala if I'm talking about, or maybe if I'll talk about a C#. So if you are coming from those programming backgrounds, so you have to create a classes, you have to create an object. What is class? What is object? We'll discuss these things in OOPS class. So you have to create a class and then object, and then you can execute. But if I'll talk about a self-scripting or in a similar way, so Python helps you out to do a coding by using a scripting. So Python supports, I would say, scripting. Python supports OOPS. Python supports like I would say like now Python is a functional programming language as well. Now, so how we can do a scripting, how we can do a OOPS, and how we can do this functional programming. So I will be talking about these things in very detail, and this is what we are going to cover in next 6 weeks of time in depth, I would say, till end to end. And then you can let me know, like after 6 weeks, how do you feel about the Python coding and whether it's easy or not. Again, like label of complexity wise, if you will try to compare Python with respect to any other languages like a Java, C, C#, or any other languages. So if you are going to give a rating 4 out of 5 for Java or C++ in terms of a complexity I'm talking about, then Python is having 1 out of 5. So complexity wise, Python is very easy. The way people have designed this Python library is beautiful, and complexity wise, it's very easy to write a Python code, whether you are from the technical or non-technical background, not at all. You're supposed to worry about it. You will be able to write a Python code. I'm not just trying to give you a motivation. It's a reality. Practice it and you will get to know about it. And coding is all about, like I said, writing a beautiful story. So you can just try to practice it. So here, Python complexity is very less, again, like a library wise. So whether I'm talking about all the data processing libraries or like a ML libraries or a DL libraries or a reinforcement libraries or maybe NLP libraries. So every libraries is available inside a Python. Again, I'm not saying that you can't use any other languages. You can use any other languages as well. You can use Java, you can use C, you can use C#, you can use Scala. There won't be any problem. And you will be able to achieve the same thing. Even if you're working as a data scientist, it's completely fine to use any other languages. So don't think that Python is the only language which is having all the ML, DL, NLP reinforcement libraries. No. Every language, every programming language is having those libraries. You can use it. But if I will talk about ease of use, if I will talk about a complexity, so complexity wise, Python is much easier in terms of implementation, in terms of debugging, in terms of a deployment, in terms of building an application as compared to any other programming interface or languages that you will be able to get. And that's the reason. So Python is one of the most popular language for any kind of people who is working into a data industry or who is working as a data scientist. Because we as a data scientist, we always look for something like which is available in an easiest possible way, or which I will be able to avail, or which I will be able to use in an easiest possible way. And that's the reason. So Python is going to provide you one of the best possible and a beautiful feature. So fine, this is what we are going to learn, guys. So let's try to understand. Let's try to see how it goes. So I will be talking about a Python basic command in a first place. So first of all, let's talk about a variable. So what is a variable? So suppose if I'm trying to work into some project, or suppose if I'm trying to execute something. Now what we execute? A data in general. And whenever we are trying to execute a data, so we know that all the processing happens inside a RAM itself, random access memory, or I can say it happens inside a primary memory. So inside a RAM, all the execution is going to happen. That is completely fine for me. Now, so to bring a data or to hold a data inside a RAM, you need something, you need someone to occupy or to hold a data set for you, and that element is called as a variable. So variable is nothing but a kind of an entity or a kind of an element which will try to hold a data inside your main memory. Main memory means RAM. I'm not talking about your hard disk. I'm not talking about your secondary memory. I'm talking about your main memory. So we can create a variable. Now when it comes to creating a variable, so again, in terms of a data, you can receive a different kind of a data, and you can create a different kind of a variable. Now, so I can try to create a variable which can hold a bunch of the data set from the text file, from the CSV file, from the Excel sheet, from anywhere, or maybe just a digit, just a floating point number. So it's very easy to create a variable inside a Python. So if I have to create a variable which can hold a data, because ultimately you are writing a program for what? You are trying to execute some kind of a data. You are trying to execute some kind of a information. So to do that, we can create a variable. So I am going to create a first variable. So here I'm going to create A, and A is equal to 10. Now what is the meaning of it? And when I'm going to call A, so it is going to give me 10. So when I say A is equal to 10, so here A is nothing but it's a variable that I have created. Now if I'll talk about Java or C or C++, so in any other languages, first of all, whenever you're trying to create a variable, so you are supposed to define that what kind of a variable. If I'm trying to create a list variable, integer variable, a complex variable, a string variable, float variable, double variable, long double variable, Boolean variable, right? In any other languages, so you have to define first. But in Python, so it try to understand, it try to interpret by itself. You are not supposed to define a type of the variable. System understands all of those things by itself. So when I said A is equal to 10, what will happen inside a memory? So here it is going to occupy a space. It is going to name that space as A because we have given name as A. Now when it comes to a variable name, it could be my name, it could be your name, it could be anything. There is no restriction on that. But always we are supposed to give a meaningful information. Like I told you, so coding is all about writing a beautiful story. So you should write your story in such a way that other people will be able to read out and they will be able to enjoy your stories. So that's a coding standard that we used to follow. And that's the reason. So you can try to create any kind of a variable. When I said A is equal to 10, this is what happens. So suppose this is your main memory, or generally we try to call this as a heap space. So it's a special kind of a memory where it try to store a variable. So heap space or stack space or queue space. So here inside a heap space, so it is going to create this it is going to create this reference A, and then inside that it is going to hold 10. And again, for sure, there will be a physical address as well that you will be able to find out. I'll talk about that. So this is what happens. So it has named this space, I would say, as a in this particular case, and it is going to create a variable. Now, at any point of a time, so if I wanted to access a data set, I will be able to access a data set. And I told you, in any other languages, we used to define the data type, but in Python, it tried to understand all of those things by itself. How? Let's try to understand it. So there is a function called as type, type. So suppose if I wanted to know that what my Python compiler is trying to understand out of this variable, I can write type A. And you will be able to observe over here that it is trying to understand my variable A as what? Integer type variable. So I never said that A is equal to integer. What I have done is I have just created A. I just assigned a value. Assigned a value means, so I'm trying to store this data. Simple. 10 is a data. 10 is a numeric value. Again, if I'm trying to read out any kind of file, so my data will be available in terms of a string, in terms of maybe like a list, or maybe tuples, dictionaries, map, anything. So here I never said that, no, what is the kind of my data? But system is able to understand it. It's telling me that, no, it's an integer kind of a data set that you have created. In any other languages, these facilities are not available. You will have to define the data type mostly, but here it's completely fine without even defining this data type. So you will be able to get it. So here type of A, suppose if I am going to change the type, this is the float that I have added. It's a floating point number that is trying to understand. It's completely fine. I can try to assign a is equal to anything. And those who are having concern with this variable name, I'll try to keep it as my name, SUDH. Simple. So it's my name. Like I told you, you can create a variable by your name and then there won't be any concern. And I can try to like check these things. It's completely fine. Now, if I'm going to store a string, there are two ways to store a string. Suppose if I'm trying to store some kind of a string over here, ultimately it is trying to understand that I'm talking about a string variable. If I'm trying to talk about a Boolean variable, Boolean is nothing but true and false, TRUE. So true and false, yes, it's a Boolean. Bool it is able to understand. In our childhood, we might have heard about a complex number. Complex number is nothing but a combination of a real number and an imaginary number. Real number is nothing but a number which you can try to like plot on a infinite scale, minus infinity to plus infinity. That is called as a real number, any number in between. So complex number is nothing but a number which is available in a imaginary plane. We used to study these things in our 8 and 10 standards. So I'm assuming that we all have passed 8 and 10. So fine. So here you will be able to create a complex number as well. So which is a part of nothing but imaginary number plus a real number. So 4 is my real part. To represent or to annotate or to give a notation for an imaginary number, so you can use a symbol called as J basically. So J is basically a notation for a imaginary number. Now J, or maybe I can try to write like a 7J over here. Now if I'll try to check, it's a complex number it is trying to represent. Many of you now must be having question like, okay fine, so where we can use complex number, what will happen with the complex number, and many things. People who are even from the other programming background, you must be having this kind of a question. I completely agree with that. I always get this kind of a question from all of my classes. So here, as you can see, so this part is basically a real part, and this part is basically a imaginary part. J is nothing but it's a notation for the imaginary part, I would say, just a notation. So wherever you have to like create any number as a imaginary, you can try to create it. If I'm trying to check a type, if I'm trying to check that what is a data type, type is a inbuilt function. So type always try to give you a data type. So if I'm trying to check a data type of this one, so it is trying to tell me that, okay, data type is equal to complex in this particular place automatically. Now, so I can try to get an access of a complex number and a real number separately. I'll discuss about that. I'll talk about it. So I was talking about a variable declaration. So you can try to declare any kind of a variable, integer, float, Boolean, or going forward, we'll be talking about in detail a list or dictionary or tuples or many different kind of set variables. So we will be talking about all those data manipulation. But as of now, like I said, so you can try to create any kind of a variable and easily Python interprets it, and Python try to understand each and everything by itself. You're not supposed to worry about that. You're not supposed to tell Python that what kind of a variable which I have created in this particular place. So here is a variable that I have which I have created in this particular place. Now, so let's talk about this complex number itself. SUDH is a complex number as of now. So let's suppose, because if you are going to create a variable, so people have already designed lots and lots of inbuilt function or method to manipulate a data. Apart from that, so in our Python function chapter, so we'll see how we can create our own custom function like tuples if I'm talking about. So someone has created this type, someone has created this type function and we are able to use it. So type does what? So type always try to return the type of the variable, and Python provides one more beautiful feature. Let's suppose there are many inbuilt functions which is available inside of Python, because going forward we'll explore like many functions in pandas, numpy, matplotlib, everywhere. And as a human being, it's not possible for me to remember each and everything. So again, you're not supposed to go to Google every time and then you are supposed to search for it. What you can do is, so inside a function itself, just press Shift tab, simple, Shift tab. So if I were going to press Shift and tab, so Python documentation is already available with a Python installation. You will be able to get a definition, an argument of a particular function in that tab itself. So you're not supposed to go to Google and then search for the meaning. You will be able to understand a meaning then and there itself where you are trying to write a code. It's completely fine. So no need to remember any of this function if you are not able to do that. Yes, with the practice, you will be able to remember it with the practice. So yes, you will be able to utilize each and everything. It's all about the practice. You're not supposed to by heart even a single function. I never recommend any of my students to like by heart even a single possible thing. So don't do that. Just practice and do the permutation combination. This is the only thing which will help you out in terms of learning. If you are coming from a non-programming background, if you have never done programming in your entire life, like I told you, Python is the easiest one. So fine, guys. Here, so we are going to use this type, and if I'm going to press shift and tab, yes, it's giving me a definition that, okay, fine. So like this is how this argument is been represented. Now again, you will get confused. Like, what is the meaning of static args? What is the meaning of KW argument, double static KW arguments? Don't worry, sit tight, attend the classes. You will get to know very soon many things. So yes, in the first place, it creates a lot of confusion, but like I told you, I'll discuss end to end. So here. So let's suppose, like I told you, so with every kind of a variable, so there will be a inbuilt function which will be associated. Now, so I have created a variable called as SUDH, and type of this variable is a complex type, basically. So I think we know what is a variable. Variable is nothing but it tries to hold the data. That's it in a main memory. And again, there are many part of the main memory you will be able to get. So again, here, so I'm trying to call SUDH, then simply press tab. Don't do anything, just press tab. Suppose I don't remember that what and all inbuilt functions are available for this complex number. No need to worry about that. It's completely fine. So I can try to call this one. I have called what? I have called variable and then dot, press tab, and then these are the options which was available. So I am trying to call emag over here. So it is trying to give me what? Imaginary part of this particular number. Simple. So again, if I'm trying to call like real, so it will again press tab. I don't have to remember anything. It's completely fine. So now it's giving me real part of the number. Real part of the number. What is the real part? This is the real part. Now, so this is a function associated with a complex number. Now, if I'm going to store, let's suppose some kind of a string. A string is nothing but one kind of a data type itself. Suppose if I'm going to store a string, then this is not going to work. The same thing is not available for, because for every different kind of a variable, different functions are available. And for a string, there are more than 50-70 functions are available. Inbuilt functions are available, which I will be talking about in detail. Most of the function I will be talking about, so which you will be able to see in this particular list. Again, for integer, you will be able to find out another set of a function. For list, you will be able to find out another set of a function. So for different kind of a variables, you will be able to find out a different kind of a function. This is what happens, guys. So in case of a Python, and I will be talking about these things. I'm just trying to give you a brief overview, an idea that how without even remembering a single line of a code, you can try to utilize it, you can try to practice it. And then for sure going forward, you will find out that even in your sleep, you are able to give answer. So this is how it happens. So fine, guys, like SUDH, this string I have created, and we have created many more variables as well. Like we can create an integer variable, or maybe we can try to create, I would say, like a Boolean variable or like a floating point variable here. Maybe we can try to create, I would say, some kind of a Boolean variable, true or like a false kind of variable over here. So this is called as a Boolean variable. If I try to check now, so if I'm going to write a true plus true, so it is going to give me 2. So internally what happens is, so it always try to interpret true as 1 and then true as 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. This is how it try to interpret. It will be a bit strange, but yes, if you're trying to use a plus operator, this is how it is going to give you a result, 1 plus 1. Now, if you are going to click like a true plus false, so 2 plus false, 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. So FLSE. So always make sure that f should be a capital one. And again, so true plus false is equal to 1. That is what you will be able to get. That is completely fine, guys. Now, so true plus false, and yes, I'm able to get it. Now, let's suppose I wanted to write something. So suppose you have written a code. So I have written this true plus false, and I wanted to write some kind of a comment, in terms of like, so that if user is going through that, and they should be able to understand the code which I have written, because we always try to maintain a proper commenting in our like tabs as well. So suppose if I'm going to write like this is a code for Boolean variable understanding, right? If I'll try to execute it, I'll get an error basically, because it's a syntactical error. This line is not a code, and if this line is not a code, so for sure it is going to give you an issue. So what you can do is you can try to start with the hashtag. So hashtag is been used for the single line comment. Remember, hashtag is been used for the single line comment. So if you don't want your compiler, or if you don't want your interpreter to execute some set of a code, just try to start with the hashtag. It's been used for the single line comment. Now, if I wanted to do a multiple line comment, not a problem at all. So multiple line comment means, suppose I wanted to treat this as a comment. Now, if I try to execute it, I'll get an error, because this is a Python code and it's like trying to understand, it is trying to execute this as a code, but no, this is not a code actually. So for sure, you are going to get this kind of error that name, this thing is not defined. It's not been stored inside some variable. So what you can do is you can try to enclose these things within a triple quote. So if I'll try to enclose these things within a triple quote, and then if I'll try to execute, now everything is fine. No need to worry about it. So basically this triple quote has been used, triple quote, single or double, doesn't matter, both will work. So triple quote has been used for the multi-line comment, I would say, and for the single line comment, so you can try to use a hashtag. That is completely fine. Now, so its variable declaration is fine, I would say. Now let's talk about a variable called as string. Let's suppose if I'm trying to create a string. Again, variable name could be anything. So don't think that, so if I have written S over here, so you are also supposed to write yes. No, you can write any name. Give your name, that is completely fine. Now, so here, if I have to create a string is nothing but one kind of a data type, where you can try to store like your name, any kind of a categorical data, or any kind of a like a data set in a form of a string, and which you can access index wise. So here, if I have to create a string variable, what I can do is, so I can try to like create this variable, and then I can say that, okay, so my name is SUDH. So if I'll try to execute it, if I'll try to check a type of this S, it's completely fine. I will be able to get a type as a str. Now, so this is a string that you will be able to find out. Now, whenever you are going to create a string, so it's completely fine. You can try to create it by using a double quote, or you can try to create this string by using a single quote as well. So suppose if I'm trying to use a single quote, that is completely fine. Meaning is not going to change. So single quote or double quote, but yes, enclose these things within quotes. Otherwise, it will be an issue you are going to get. So fine, as you can see, like within a single quote or within a double quote. So I'm trying to create my string. Now, so, okay. Type is fine. Now, so suppose if I wanted to call the string, I can call it just by calling a variable. Other way is to like print a string is using a print, P-R-I-N-T, as a function. Print as a function, and if you are going to call a string, it will try to print it. So again, so either you can call a variable directly, or you can try to use a print as a inbuilt function. And again, if you wanted to know about a print, so there are many more things which has been written over here. So there are many functionalities which is given over there inside a print, and we'll be using all of those functionalities going forward. So you can try to print all of those things inside a string. Now, so string is a kind of a variable which try to hold any kind of a data set enclosed within a single quote or double quote. But so suppose if I'm trying to use a single quote, suppose if I'm trying to use a single quote inside this string itself, this is my string, this is my entire string. If I'm trying to use a single quote within a string itself, because we used to do that, right? So Sudhanshu's, if I have to write, right? So in that way, what will happen is, so if I'm going to execute it, it will try to give me an error for sure. See, it's an error. It is trying to tell me that, and again, the error handling things or like an error representation is beautiful inside a Python libraries. So here it is trying to tell me that this is the invalid syntax in this particular place. I have made some mistake inside this particular place. So for sure, if your string is enclosed within a single quote and there is a single quote inside a string as well, inside a body of the string itself, so in that case, you are going to get an issue. You are going to get an error. You are going to get a problem. Now, what you should do in this case? So basically, you are supposed to. So basically, you are supposed to enclose these things within a double quote if single quote is a part of your string, and then it will be fine. Now, as you can see, so I have enclosed my string within a double quote if single quote is a part of a string internally. Vice versa. So vice versa, if double quote is a part of it. And then if I'll execute, again, there is a problem. Now what you can do is, if double quotes is a part of this one, so in that case, try to use this and it's completely fine. Now, if both are, if you wanted to keep in between a string, then what you should do? So in that case, try to enclose your string with a triple quote, simple. And then it will solve your problem, your challenges, whatever you have, you can do it. So this is how you are supposed to create, or you are supposed to store a string variable. Now, so this is about a string variable. Now I will be creating another string variable, INEURON. Suppose if I'm talking about ineuron. Ineuron is basically a string which I have created in this particular place. Let's suppose, so from this string, I wanted to extract a data. Maybe, so basically this string is a combination of what? This string is a combination of characters, I would say. So let's suppose if I wanted to extract a data set one by one out of these particular string. So a string always stores a data internally into our indexes. Now let's talk about how system is trying to store a data internally. So I have created a string variable S. So let's suppose this is the memory space that I have. So here is a S that it has created. So it will try to point to certain location. And so if I wanted to print a location, I will be able to print a location itself. And in your memory management class, I will be talking about that as well. Suppose if I wanted to know what is the location of a string, I can try to print ID of a string. And this is going to give me a physical memory location. But yeah, it's a little bit confusing. That's the reason I told you. So I will be talking about this in your memory management classes, how Python internally manages all the memories. So here I'm trying to create a reference as an S in this particular place. And then what will happen? So if I'm trying to create a reference as an S, and internally I'm trying to store ineuron. So INEURON. If I'm trying to store ineuron inside this particular variable, now what will happen? So it is going to occupy one space. It is going to occupy one space, but even internally it tried to allocate indexes. So here it always tried to store all of these things, I would say, inside the indexes starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So internally it is going to store all of these variables starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So in terms of a forward positive indexes, left to right. Now, so it's completely fine. Many of you must be aware about a forward positive indexes, but in Python, even indexes exist in a reverse direction, starting from -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. And I will be able to access a data set by using forward indexes or by using a backward indexes as well. So both of these things are completely possible if I'm talking about what? A string, basically. So inside a memory, so this is how it is going to store. So it will be having indexes. So yes, this is what I'm able to print. So this is basically an address of what? This is basically an address of this entire variable. So this is the address of this heap space. I can try to print address of address as well. I can try to print address location of a address inside our entire S string. So suppose if I wanted to know the address of only I, which is address of address, I will be able to get that as well. But again, by using the same idea of ID of this particular like a character. So it's completely fine, guys. So here I'm trying to create a string, ineuron, I would say. And here, so I'm trying to store a variable in this particular place subsequently. And what I can do is, like I told you, so it tried to store a data. It tried to store a data in terms of indexes. So I have written INEURON and indexes wise. So index is going to start always from 0, always. So it's a default indexes. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the indexes which is given to you. Now let's suppose I wanted to access this, or any of these things. I will be able to access specifically, and there are multiple ways. It depends upon my story, how I'm going to write my Python story. Simple. So there are many ways by which you will be able to extract a data set. Now let's see. Let's talk about it, I would say. So here, let's suppose I wanted to access maybe into a forward direction or maybe into a backward direction. If I wanted to access, I will be able to access anywhere in any direction. So in a backward direction is a -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So in a backward direction, it starts from, means right to left, it is going to start from a -1, and left to right, forward direction is going to start from a 0 to like a number of a string or n-1. So fine, I will try to access it one by one from the indexes, and I will try to show you. So here I have a string S which I have created. Now I wanted to access I. How I can access it? It's very simple. So S square bracket, make sure a square bracket, and then give an index. Index is equal to 0, and yes, I am able to access I over here. So yes, I am able to access in this particular place just by saying S is equal to 0. Or maybe if I wanted to access maybe like in a negative indexes, -2. -2 I can write a negative indexes. Oh, now yes. So if you will try to compare, over here, so yes, -2. So -2 is basically at this place, O is available, and yes, I'm able to access O. So in negative indexes, in a positive indexes, you will be able to access it by using a individual indexes. You can access anything. Let's suppose I'm trying to make some kind of a mistake in this particular places. So let's suppose if I'm trying to make some mistake. So I have a data set starting from 0 to 6th indexes. Now let's suppose if I have given over here 12th indexes, what will happen in this case? So if I try to execute it, it is going to complain. It is going to complain saying that, so a string index out of a range. This is the complaint that you will be able to receive, because the thing is, like I have just an indexes till a 6th indexes. How it will be able to get a data at the 12th indexes? That is completely fine, and that's the reason. So if you are going beyond the indexes, you will be able to face this kind of a issue in case of, again, mark my line, in case of a individual index access. When I will try to access a list of the data set, in that case, same thing will not follow. I'll show you what I'm trying to talk about. I'll show you that as well. So don't think that this thing is true in every cases. So this thing is not true in every cases. I'll show you very soon. So there is something called as slicing. Let's suppose I wanted to access a data. So let's suppose I wanted to access a data starting from index 0 till index 4. If I wanted to access this set of a data set, what I should do in this case? Because I know that individual data access, I can do that. I can try to access individual data set. That is one thing, and that is fine. Now, so if I have to access a list of the data set, I can access that as well. Suppose if I wanted to access a data set with certain pattern, maybe this, then this, then this, and then this, I can do that as well. So if I have to access maybe into a reverse direction by following certain pattern, I can do that as well. So I will be talking about one-to-one, like all those step-by-step procedure by which you will be able to access different so in a different way. So you will be able to access your data set basically. So let's try to understand it. So how I will be able to get or how I will be able to do a slicing operation. Slicing is nothing but so any kind of arrangement you are trying to make, or by using any kind of arrangement, so you're trying to access a data set. So here I'm trying to write like a S of, let's suppose, so I wanted to access a data set from I to maybe like R, let's suppose. So from I to R, I wanted to access a data from this string. So what I can do is I can try to write my starting point. My starting point is what? 0. Starting index is what? 0. Then I have to write an end point. Now, so what I will do is I will try to write 5. Now, so in this case, I am able to get access till R. Now you will again ask me a question that, okay, so why you have given 5 and you are able to get only till R? Because 5 is the index of O. So string always try to, or string slicing or list slicing or any kind of a slicing operation you are going to do inside a Python. So it always excludes an upper bound, always excludes an upper bound. Remember it. So I have written a string of 0 to 5. So it will start from 0, it will go till 5, but excluding 5, and it will try to give you the rest of a data set. This is what happens in case of a string slicing operation. Now, so always remember that it is going to exclude an upper bound, and remember these things because it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing I will be talking about in your list. So when I'll talk about a list, which is one of the most important data structure that you will be able to find out. So I will be talking about a same thing even in case of a list. So just remember that it always excludes an upper bound. So that is completely fine, guys. So it always excludes an upper bound in this particular cases. So it's completely fine. Now, let's suppose, so I wanted to access a data, but I wanted to access a data with a jump. With a jump, I-E-R-N, this kind of a things, this kind of a pattern, if I wanted to access, then what you can do. So like I told you, so whenever you are trying to do a string slicing operation, there are many ways. I've been talking about many permutation combination, but as of now, I'm talking about just first way. So this is a starting point. This is a end point. So you can try to give a starting point. You can try to give an end point, again excluding that you try to access the data set. Now you can try to give a step size as well, or we used to say a jump. So you can try to give a jump as well. So let's try to understand what I'm talking about and what is the meaning of it. So I had a data I neuron, and then so I'm trying to write over here, let's suppose 2. What will happen? So it is going to access IER. Why it is going to access IER? So here, as we all know, that it is trying to give an indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this particular place. So I have given a starting point. So I'm saying that I have a scale. Let's suppose I'm saying that start from 0. Then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's suppose. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to use scaling concept, and again, it makes very it makes sense in terms of slicing operation. So soon you will realize it to interpret the data. So here I'm trying to start from where? I'm trying to start from 0. So yes, my starting point is what? My starting point is basically a 0, and then I'm trying to go till 5. That is completely fine. Excluding 5, that is also fine, because we know it always excludes the upper bound. And here I have mentioned 2. 2 is nothing but jump or step it is going to take. So it will start from 0 and then it will keep on jumping till upper bound. So 0, 0 plus 2, so 0 plus 2, 2, 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 2, 6, but 6 is not coming under my upper bound. So it will try to print a data from the 0th indexes, from the 2nd indexes, and from the 4th indexes. And that's the reason it is printing I, that's the reason it is printing E, and that's the reason it is printing R. Based on my gaps or number of steps or number of jumps that we have given in this particular place. So this is what happens in terms of a slicing operation, where you can try to define a jump, you can try to define a slicing. Now you will try to observe some strange things as well very soon. So in this particular slicing operation, and you will get confused for sure in this particular case while you will try to understand it. So here I am trying to write it by default. If I am not writing any kind of a slicing, by default it takes a value is equal to 1. It's a by default value. So number of jump will be by default is equal to 1, but you can try to define your jump as well. So I can try to give jump as 3, I can try to give jump as 4, I can try to give jump as whatever I want. There won't be any issue. So it will start from the initial point, go till end point with that many number of the jump or steps. That's it. Now, so I can try to give -1 over here. I can try to give -1 over here. And if I'll try to execute it, nothing happened. No data set I'm able to get. Why? What is the problem behind that? And why I'm not able to get the data? Let's try to understand it. This is where scaling concept comes into a picture. iNeuron. So here I'm trying to write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's suppose. So this is the indexes. This is the default indexes. Now in a reverse direction, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. It's completely fine. Now let's suppose this is the scale which I have drawn in this particular place. This is the scale which I have drawn in this particular place. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Now, so what I will try to do is, so here I have written 0 to 5. Means start from 0. Start from 0. Starting point is 0. Go towards 5. This is what I have mentioned in this particular place. But what I'm saying here, so I'm saying that start from 0, go till 5, but try to take a jump. Try to take a jump where? Into a negative axis. So try to take a jump into a negative axis, and that's a reason you are not able to get a data. It is not going to complain. It is not going to give you any kind of exceptions or errors, but it will not give you a data set if the direction in which you are trying to move and the direction in which you are trying to jump is not same. And that's the reason. So you are able to get a blank over here in this particular place. This is what happens in this one. And that's the reason I'm not able to get the data set. Now I will rectify it. I will rectify it, and then I will try to give you a data set as well. So let's try to understand it in this way. So let's suppose I will be using same scaling concept. Let's suppose I'm going to write 5 to 0. So let's suppose I'm going to mention 5 to 0. And now if I'm going to execute, I got a data. Why? Why I'm getting a data this time? So the reason behind this one is, let's try to understand it again with respect to a scale. So I'm starting from where? I'm starting from 5. So 5 is here and going to what? Going to 0. So my initial point is 5. My final point is 0. So starting from 5, going towards 0. And then what is my, in which direction I'm trying to move? Negative axis. This is the negative axis and this is the positive axis, I would say. So this is the 0 origin point. So I'm trying to move into, I'm trying to take a jump also in a negative direction. So starting from 5 to 0, jumping into a same direction, taking the steps into a same direction. And that's the reason. So I'm able to get this data. That's the reason. So I'm able to get like a O, R, U, E, N till this point, excluding upper bound. Again, this time 0 will be my upper bound. Make sure 0 is my upper bound. And that's the reason. So it always excludes my upper bound. As simple as that. And that's the only reason we are able to get a data. So I can traverse my string into a positive direction, into a negative direction. I can try to give any kind of indexes from anywhere to anywhere. I will be able to get a string data set by using a particular indexes. I will be able to get a string by using a slice of the indexes. So all of those things are possible in any of or either of these directions, from here to here, left to right, or right to left. As simple as that. So that's the reason. So we are able to get a data set. Simple. Now, so here that is completely fine. Let's suppose someone has given me a requirement. Someone has given me a requirement that try to reverse a string, and I don't know any functions which can do that. I don't remember any function. Let's suppose I'm a guy who don't remember a function or any things which is inbuilt. So in that case, what I can do is I can try to reverse this string. Suppose if I've given you a long string, I'm asking you, okay, do one thing, reverse it. I can do that. That's not a problem. So, and that is very, very easy. So what I can do is I can try to write this one and see, I have reversed it. So I had INEURN, now I have a NORUENI. So I'm able to reverse this data. Now, what is a meaning of this? Things which I have written over here. So what is a meaning of it? So again, I will try to check the scale. So here is a scale 0, 1, 2, 3, and then this one, this is a negative, this is a positive axis that I have. Now, so this is something that we have written in this particular place. So here you will be able to find out that I'm not given a starting point. I have not given any end point. It's completely blank, colon, -1. No starting point, no end point. I have mentioned so far, so forth. Now, so if I have not mentioned any starting point, if I have not mentioned any kind of an end point, not a problem. I have mentioned my step size. And what is my step? What is my direction which I have mentioned? It's a -1. So in this case, it will try to start from the negative axis. If you're just given the direction, it's a bit strange. So this is how this entire thing has been designed inside a Python library. So it will try to start from the last indexes, and then it will try to traverse into a negative direction. And that's the reason. So you are able to get all these things into a reverse direction. So these things are possible. You will be able to reverse any of this string without remembering any kind of a code, I would say. So this is completely fine, and this is completely possible. So this is how this is called as a string slicing operation. A string slicing operation. So you will be able to do a string slicing operation very easily just by using our indexes, negative, positive, whatever you want. I can do it basically. So this is what we have discussed, guys, over here in terms of a string slicing. You can try to do your own permutation combination. Let me know what is the result that you are getting. So we have a team sitting with you. You can try to post your queries after doing all the permutation combination, and then they will give you a response. Whatever we have discussed based on that. There are many more things that we will be talking about. So don't expect that like we can discuss everything in a single classes. It's a 6-week long classes. As I have already mentioned that even if it is going to take a couple of more weeks, we don't have an issue unless and until we will not finish whatever we have given you inside your syllabus. We will not close this batches. Simple. Including a project and including a deployment into a multiple cloud platform with API, database integration, and everything. So fine, this is just your first class. Many of you, because are already aware about a Python code, that is completely fine. You might feel that, okay, so we are talking about maybe something very stupid and something which is very basic. I completely understand your concern as well. But as far as when my responsibility comes into a picture, so I have to serve all of my audience. So I have to start from a very basic, and then I will go into an extreme complex part. So wait for that time. Those who are expert, those who think that, okay, they are expert into a language called as Python. So you can test it in my class. Yes, going forward. Now, so this is fine. This is basically like a string slicing operation that we have discussed now. So this is one kind of a data type. Now with respect to string, as I told you, there are many more functions, inbuilt function, which is available. I will be talking about those functions for sure in our upcoming lectures. I will be talking about all those functions. Now another kind of a data type I would like to talk about, because we talked about a string slicing. So I would like to talk about another kind of a data type, which is called as or another kind of a collection precisely. So that is called as a list. Now let's try to understand that what is list first of all, and what and all things you can do. As we have discussed, as we talked about an integer, Boolean, complex, floating point number, string. So these are the data type. These are called as a primitive data type. My handwriting is not that good since childhood, so I can't do much things. Primitive data type, and yes, I do a lot of spelling mistake as well. So I think we all are like sensible people, and we can understand it, feeling actually. So, but yeah, code wise, I barely make a mistake. So don't worry about that part. Fine. So yeah, so here is my like string that I have, and we talked about a string. These string, integer, Boolean, all those things are called as a basic data type or a primitive data type. They can hold a single element, they can hold a single entity inside these things. Now there is another data type which has been used widely in other programming languages. I'm not talking about Python as of now, another programming languages. So that is called as a array. So in other languages, array is nothing but it's a kind of a heterogeneous collection of the data set, or it's kind of a data structure which can hold a heterogeneous element in a sequential like indexes or sequential address or memory location. That is a definition of the array that we know basically. But there is no array concept which exists inside a Python core. Now, don't tell me like tomorrow that, okay, no, you told that array concept doesn't even exist. No, I'm saying that this concept doesn't exist inside a Python core. You will be able to find out an array in a package called as NumPy. It's a numerical Python package, basically. So I will be talking about that as well. That there it is called as a ND array, n-dimensional array. So what is the meaning of ND array and what and all things happens over here? So I'll talk about that when I'll talk about a NumPy, because there are many things to discuss in a NumPy, because this is Pandas, and NumPy is one of those packages which you are going to use from a very first day of your data science career, from a very first day. Pandas and NumPy. Without that, you can't even survive. In terms of anything inside like a data science industry. So I will be talking about that. So I will be talking about array. Array doesn't exist inside a Python core. Then why I'm talking about it? Array is a basic data structure which exists inside a other programming language. Now here, equivalent to array, you will be able to find out something called as a list, which try to perform a similar kind of operation, which can try to hold a heterogeneous element into a different indexes at any point of a time without any limitation. You can try to access it. You can try to do a manipulation. There are many more inbuilt functions which is available, which can help you out for doing a manipulation. So that data structure is called as a list, L-I-S-T. So fine, let's try to understand what is list. Is one of the most powerful or one of the most famous, popular or widely used data structure, I would say. And whenever you will do a coding, you will do the same thing. So whenever you will write your own story, you will do the same thing. So you will be using a list in that particular place. So I will be talking about a list. I won't be talking about an array as of now. When NumPy comes into a picture, then I will talk about a ND array, n-dimensional array. Then I will tell you the differences. Don't worry, and all those conversions. So it will take some time. Some classes it is going to take for you to like cover those things. So fine, list I have to create. So again, I can try to use any variable, and as we all know that Python understands a data type by itself. You are not supposed to say your Python that what kind of a data type I'm going to create. So it can create a data type easily. It can understand a data type easily, I would say. It can interpret itself easily. Suppose if I'm going to write something, C, I have written C is equal to bracket, open, close, square bracket, simple. Now if I'm going to execute it, no complaint. If I'm going to check a type, I have created something, and if I'm going to check type, by default, it is going to give you that the data type that you are trying to create over here is having a type called as list. I never said that I created a list, never. I just have given the notation. Python interprets all of those things. So strong typing is not required. Loosely coupled things are available, and loose type by using a loose typing, so you will be able to achieve it. So it is able to understand that, okay, so this is a list data structure, or this is a list data type that we have. This is one of the way by which you will be able to create a list. The other way, let's suppose I'm trying to create another variable. Yes, I think we all know what is a variable. So I don't think that anyone who is even a beginner is having any kind of a doubt with respect to a variable. Why variable? What is variable? What is the use of it? So I'm assuming that everyone is clear with this. Now, so one way to create a list is using a open bracket and a close bracket. The second way to create a list is by using a list as a function. So even in this way, you will be able to create a list. So it's completely fine. Same thing, same output you will be able to get. If I'm going to print C over here, it's giving me open and close bracket. If I'm going to create list as a function, and then it is going to give me open and close bracket over here. So I am able to create a list data type. If I'm going to check type of PYP, what is the type of this? Is my system is able to understand it's a list. So in both way, you will end up creating a list data structure. You will be able to create. So these are the two ways by which you will be able to create a list data structure. In a first instance, it looks like both are same. And again, don't come tomorrow and then don't try to claim that, okay, sir, you said that both the lists are same, but I'm able to find out some different behavior. No, both are not same. Not exactly same, I would say. So yes, there are certain properties which matches, but both are not exactly same. So you can create a list by using this square bracket or by using a function called as list in these two ways, but there is some difference you will be able to find out in between these two. And for sure, I will be talking about that differences, because sometimes it's very much important to know about the differences for writing a better story in a Python. So fine. Here, so I'm trying to create a list, that is completely fine. And then in this place, so I'm trying to create again another list, that is also fine by using list as a function. Now, so like I told you, so list is basically a collection. It's a collection of homogeneous, or I can say heterogeneous data type. As simple as that. Now, what is the meaning of homogeneous? What is the meaning of heterogeneous? So homogeneous means if I'm trying to store a similar kind of a data multiple times, it's called as a homogeneous. Let's suppose if I'm trying to store only integer, maybe only kind of integer in this particular place, that is called as a homogeneous. Now, heterogeneous means I can try to accommodate a combination of any data set which I want. Maybe I can try to store SUDH, and then I can try to store maybe KUMAR. Maybe I can try to store inside this one like a floating point number. Maybe I can try to store a Boolean over here. Maybe I can try to store a complex number that we have created so far, so forth. And that is completely fine, I would say. So there is no complaint which I'm able to get. So I can store a similar kind of a data set. I can store a multiple variety of the data set. And yes, I will be able to store it, and I will be able to get it. So I will be able to get these kind of things, I would say. So that is completely fine. Now, so storage wise, I can store it. Any kind of a data set, any kind of a data type, I will be able to store it. Now, access wise, slicing wise. So I think we talked about a string. I think we talked about a string slicing, and that's the reason. So just after string slicing, I'm talking about, instead of talking about a string in build method, so I jumped into a list. There is some certain reason behind that. So I think we talked about a string slicing, and I told you that string stores a data. String stores a data in what? So in a index format internally. Similar things goes with the list. So even list stores our data into a similar fashion, starting from the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. in from left to right. Now, if I talk about right to left in a reverse direction, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So if I have to access any kind of a data set, if I have to access a range of the data set, if I have to access a jump with any kind of a uncertainty permutation combination of the data set, I can do it. I will be able to do it very easily, even those kind of a operation. So here's the thing. Let's try to understand it. So here you will be able to find out that yes, I'm able to store a data starting from like a heterogeneous data set. I'm able to store. That is completely fine. That is completely okay. Now, so if I have to access a data, suppose if you're saying that no, I wanted to access Kumar. Now how I can access it? So what is the index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just by accessing a second index, or -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, or by accessing a -4 indexes, I will be able to access Kumar. Simple. Now, so let's try to do it. Here I can write like a C of what? C of 2 I can write in this particular place. Yes, I can get Kumar. It's completely fine. Now I can try to access by using a -4. Reverse indexes. Again, it's completely fine. Not a problem. I can access it in a forward direction, into a reverse direction. Same thing we have seen for the string. Now, if I will try to check a type, because list is one thing, C is having a type is equal to list, means it is storing the entire collection. Now, inside that, I have a different data type. So, whenever you are trying to store a data, it never loses its own individual property. So now I will try to check what is a type. What is a typ type it is able to understand for this data type. And yes, it's a string. Kumar is a string. It is able to understand this. Suppose if I'm trying to access this 5th number indexes. So which is nothing but we know it's a complex. It's a complex for sure. It's complex, yes. So although C is having a type is equal to list, but still inside this, if we are trying to store some kind of a data set, it never loses its individual properties. So it can store any kind of a data set. It can understand that what kind of a data set I'm trying to store within myself. And then you will be able to perform any kind of operations very easily. Even you can try to store, I would say, even you can try to store a list inside a list anywhere. And there are many more operations. I think more than 50-60 operations I will be talking about just with respect to a list itself. This is just a starting point. I'm just trying to like give you a heads up as of now, but yes, I'll go in depth of this, like a list comprehension, iteration, iter function, or I would say generator, or like iterables object, many things I'm going to talk about, like a for loop, do while, and all those things, while loop and everything. So I can try to create a list of a list, and I will be able to access that as well. So suppose if I'm looking for FDFS, what I should do? So first of all, I have to access this list, and then inside this list, I have to access this one. So what I can do is, so if I have to access this, so I can try to write like a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or -1, -2. So either by -1 or -6, I will be able to access this one. So fine guys, not a problem. So here I can write maybe like a -1 itself, which is the last one. It is giving me a list, and -1 can get me like a entire list. And my area of interest is FDFS. So it's completely fine. So maybe I can write -1 of -1, or maybe I can write 0, 1, 2, 3. So -1 of 3. -1 of 3. And yes, I can get it. So it doesn't matter where your list is. And again, we are going to see many kind of manipulations, data manipulations. So those who are confused, don't get confused. Just a first code that you have seen like this, many more code that we are going to see, and that we are going to observe in our coming future classes. Many things, many data manipulation. Like I told you, it's just about a story. So again, this is not a one way. I will, in a class itself, I'll show you 5 to 10 ways, and again, you will be able to explore another 20 ways. So this is how coding happens. So like I told you, coding is all about writing a story. You can write a story which is having a same meaning, maybe by using some other words, just like that. So here, yes, I have a C, and yes, I'm able to access it. It's completely fine. Now, when it comes to a slicing, so I have shown you slicing operation. So individual element you will be able to access. That is completely fine. But what is a meaning of 0 to 5? What is the meaning of 0 to 5 or 0 to 50? 50th indexes doesn't exist. And now if I'm going to write just a 50 over here, it is going to give me an issue. List index out of range. But when it comes to slicing, whether it's a string or whether it's a list, it is not going to give you a complaint. It knows that, okay, fine. So what is the final indexes? So even if 50th indexes doesn't exist, it's completely fine. It will not try to give you any kind of a complaint. So now coming back to the discussion. So here I have written 0 to 5. Now what happens in this case? So it is starting from the 0th location. It is starting from the 0th location and going towards our 5th location. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would say, but excluding the 5th one, as it always excludes the upper bound. That's the reason. So you are able to get a data from here to here. This is a data which is available. So it always excludes a upper bound, just like a string. So you're not supposed to learn anything new. So whatever we have discussed with respect to a string, same thing holds true even over here. So no need to learn anything new, I would say. It's completely fine. If you know string slicing, you can do list slicing as well. And many more functionalities are same, but that doesn't mean that list and string is same. Both are different data structure which has been designed for the different purposes, which you will get to know like when you will do a data processing, file processing and manipulation and transformation. So here is like something that we are trying to write, and we are trying to create a slicing in this particular place. We are trying to create a slicing in this particular place. So in this way, we are able to access the data set starting from our 0th location till our 5th location, and excluding our 5th location, we are able to access. Now it doesn't matter at all if I wanted to access in a reverse direction. So I can maybe try to write like I can write maybe -1 to -1 to maybe -5, let's suppose, right? Now, many of you must be expecting an output -1 to -5, but it is not going to give you any output. Blank. What is the reason behind this? I think if you remember the scaling concept that we have discussed, you will be able to understand easily and automatically. But let me explain you. So here what we have written, again, same scaling concept holds true, even over here. So 0, local is not visible, fine. So it's a 0, and then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Here what we have done. So we are trying to start from a -1. So we are trying to start. So if I'll talk about this data, so in a negative index wise, -1, okay, this is a list, right? So this entire element is at -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Forward direction 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What we have written in this particular place? We have written start from -1. Start from -1. That is completely true. I'll start from -1. So start from -1 and go till -5. That is completely fine. But like I told you, there is a third argument as well. You can try to mention it, or you can leave it. So third argument is actually 1, step size. Step size is invisible, but step size is there, and default step size is equal to +1. So it is trying to start from -1 and trying to go towards a -5, but step size is +1, and there is a conflict in direction, and that's the reason. So you are able to get blank. So how I will be able to get a data? If I am looking for a data, so how I will be able to get a data? So I will be able to get a data if direction is same. In that way, I will be able to get a data for sure. And keeping this thing in mind, so I can try to override, I can try to manipulate a direction, and now I have a data. Simple, right? So it's very simple, logically correct. So here this time what we have done, so starting point is -1, so fine, -1. And it is moving towards -5. So yes, it's moving towards a -5. So -1 to -5. And again, a step size wise means jump. It will try to take a jump even into negative direction, negative scale, I would say. So traversal will also into negative direction, and jump is also into a negative direction. And in this way, you will be able to get a data. So this is what happens. And it's the same thing which we have observed even in terms of a string. So in both the places, these things are completely same. You're not supposed to worry about it. So this is all about guys, like this is all about a simple variable creation, understanding about notebook, I would say, understanding about different alternatives of the notebook. So as a beginner, you should use a notebook, but going forward, I will be using a different ID like a PyCharm mostly, and which has been used for the full scale project development. Those who think that you can do a project development into a Jupyter notebook. So I'm assuming that you have not done actual work, and I'm assuming that you have never done actual project development. Instead of executing some set of a code, copy and paste it from somewhere, learn it. So how actually actual project works and how we try to make it as a deliverables, right? Jupyter is for beginner. You can use it. You can try to practice it by installing these things inside your local system, or by installing or by using a Google Colab, or there are other hundreds platform which is available. You should know the limitations as well in terms of resources, in terms of a power, computation powers, and you should know that when to use, which one to use, and when you should not use, and when you should not be able to use it. Then only you will be able to give a better advice to everyone. Just explore all those things. Entire like stage is for like open up for you. You can just use it. You can try to avail all of those things. So I hope like my team is responding back to all of your queries. People who have joined on a Zoom, and I think, yeah, we have responded to almost 603. And some people try to ask very irrelevant questions. And some people, I have felt, what I completely felt is, so when they try to call to the support team, so I have felt that they think that support team is like a Swiggy or Zomato support team, right? So guys, let me tell you one thing. So my support team is not a Swiggy or Zomato kind of support team, which is supposed to please you. So they are there to solve your queries, and they are solving your technical queries. And all of them are data scientists. And for you guys, it will take some time to reach out on that level to solve any kind of queries in Python, in deep learning, in terms of NLP, in terms of reinforcement. They used to respond with an absolute proper answer. And yes, many of you have failed, because I was going through all those conversations. I always keep checks and balance on that. I was going through these things, and yes, you all are able to get a response. You all are enjoying this live response which we have just started, because before that you had to drop a mail, wait for 24 hour, 36 hour, in between you used to get a response. But this is the live response that we have started, so that you're not supposed to wait much. So whenever you are trying to talk to support team, so try to talk to them with a dignity. Again, I'm telling you, this is not a Swiggy or Zomato support team, which who is supposed to please you. It's a pure data science technical support team with a very high qualification in everything in terms of deep learning, machine learning, anything. And they used to work into a product, and in a part-time, so they used to support the academic one, whether it's a community services or whether it's a this one, because we completely understand and we completely feel that you need that support. You are beginner, or even you are the experienced one, so but still you are going to face an issue, and still learning something and executing something into a Jupyter notebook is a different thing. Building an application is a different thing. And our main goal is not to just teach you. We are here to tell you, or we are here to teach you that how to build a product, how to build an application. Because if you just have done some learning, that is not going to work at all in terms of any an interview. But if you know how to build an application, if you understand the pain of that, if you have created something by yourself, like many people, many of my students, thousands, not even one or two, thousands of people are doing it. And you can take advice. Maybe you can check our LinkedIn post done by students, not by us. So done by students itself, and you will be able to feel that how they are able to take the advantage. So from our side, we are trying to give you a best experience when you are talking to a support team or anyone from our team. Yes, so speak with dignity. Otherwise, I have already given a very strict instruction to my support team to block that particular person immediately. Doesn't matter what is our consequences. because if we are trying to provide facilities and services in this way, you should respect it and you should utilize it, and then you should improvise it and you should crack. Ultimately, we want you to make a transition. We are doing everything for you. And yes, at least this is the least expected support from your side, which we are expecting. I'm not talking about everyone. There is outliers. There are some exceptional cases which I have felt in recent days, and that's the reason. So I thought of talking about these things. So guys, and yeah, so hope you will remember these things. Otherwise, I have already instructed my team to give you a blunt reply in case of any misadventure. So you can't do it. We are capable enough to handle many things, including this particular situation. So just try to learn, guys. Things are apart, like those things are apart. It's completely fine. Learn, implement, practice. And practice is something which is going to help you out. And let us know in case of any generic queries, even if it is silliest one, let us know and we'll solve it, because we understand that in a path of learning, these things happens. And try to explore as much as possible, because practice is the only thing which will help you out. Nothing else is going to help you out in terms of anything. Spend some time, at least 1 week, and mark my word, just spend some time with 1 week with dedication, and then come back to me and tell me what is the experience. You will be able to feel that, no, I have learned something. I'm capable of doing something just within 1 week, what I was not able to understand before 1 week, right? So this is my expectation. We'll be there to help you out in each and everything. And I think now it's a time to take some questions live. So I will be taking some questions. I'm expecting some relevant question from your side. People who have joined through YouTube, so you can, I think you are getting your response. So fine, guys. So you can try to raise your hand. So those who have a question, I will try to unmute a couple of you, and then you can ask a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please. One by one, guys. I think you should not be in a hurry, and you should respect others. And one by one, so you can start asking questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Satakar. So my question is related to the memory management.
By the way, not
sorry. My bad, Sudhanshu. Yeah, so it is related to the memory management that we discussed when we spoke about the strings. So when I want to get the address of my string name, that is ID of S, that will return some address. So will it be the same address when I try to get the address of my first index word?
No, sir. It will not be the same. So you can try to do that. So I think we know how to extract the data, right?
Yes.
So I think we know, like, if a string S is equal to SUDH, right?
Yes.
So S of 0, right? So try to check ID of this one.
Yeah.
Are you getting the same thing?
No, not exactly.
Exactly. That's the reason I told you when I was trying to talk about these things, address inside the address, right? So it used to allocate a heap space over here. So there is a S, right? Inside that, so it tried to store, I would say, like S, U, D, and H, and everyone will be having again individual addresses. So every character will be having its own address, and the string itself will be having another address. This is how it stores these things.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. That clears a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, please.
Hello, sir. This is Harshit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to ask that, like you told that the code does not get compiled in our Jupyter notebook, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
this is what I said. Yeah.
How does we who provides us the API to compile this kernel?
Okay. So basically, when you will launch this one, right? So whenever you will launch the Jupyter notebook, so you will be able to see that your kernel is running in a background, in a black screen. You will be able to see your kernels, right? So basically that is a connection. So if you will look into the local host, so it always try to launch us on a port number 8890 or 8899 or some port, if that is not available, right? So have you heard about, do you have knowledge about API, how API works?
Yeah, I have basic knowledge, like
okay, so based on your basic knowledge, I will try to explain you. So suppose this is one application and this is another application, right? Let's talk about a Google Pay, right? Let's talk about Google Pay. Simple. So what happens is, suppose this is my Google Pay application and this is my HDFC Bank, right? Now, so whenever you try to make a transaction, can I say that your money is available in your HDFC Bank, not in your Google Pay? right?
Exactly.
So Google Pay is trying to connect with what? HDFC backend, and
Yeah.
once it will approve, so it will make a transition into a Google Pay. So can I say that these two applications are talking to each other?
Right.
Right? So it is trying to send the request, it is trying to send the response. There are again many kind of different APIs, I would say, and way to create APIs. But in a layman term, if I'm trying to extend, so this application is going to call other application, right? In the similar way, if I talk about a Jupyter notebook, suppose this is my Jupyter notebook, right? And there is a Python installation, right? So through this port number, because whenever you're going to launch, so you will be able to see that it has launched into some port, right? So through some port number, it is trying to send, whenever I write this code, right? Whenever I click on run, so it tried to send this code from here to here. Inside what? Inside a Python kernel. And then it tried to check it, that whether I have to interpret it, I have to compile it. Once after compilation, so it will try to respond back with the response. And this is what a kind of a response you used to see. So in between these two, so with the help of this host and port, because API means what? API means, so whenever I'm going to create an API, so it will be platform independent, and then it can try to request and get the response, right? Depends upon the kind of the API which I'm going to create. So basically API is designed to communicate between two applications. So can I say that my Python backend is a one application in this term, and then my Jupyter notebook is one application, web-based application, right? So your web-based application is sending a request to Python kernel, and then Python kernel is trying to execute it, and then sending back to the Jupyter notebook, and then you will get the response based on the request response. Yeah. And in your Python, so we will try to understand Flask as well, and we'll try to understand how we can create our own API so that we can expose our own data so that anyone can consume it.
Sure. So this is our local Python kernel, which is contacting.
Exactly. This is our local Python kernel, because I have done the installation, right? So this is, and on top of that, there is a wrapper of the Jupyter notebook. So in between, in between this Jupyter notebook and the Python kernel, communication happens. And then that's the reason I told you. That's the reason I told you. Sometime you will not be able to get a response. Sometime it will get stuck. And in that case, what you have to do? Go to kernel, interrupt it, or restart it. And restarting means what? Restarting. People, Varun. It's better if you will be on mute. So here, so restarting means what? Restarting simply means that you are trying to restart or reestablish the communication in between. Making sense?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next
question, please. Aditya, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for providing these classes.
Aditya, go
yes. Hi, Sudhanshu. Basically, I have one doubt. When you are like saying slicing of a string, I tried like here, okay. So I declared one string, and when I gave like negative slicing, like basically I gave like a of 0 is to -5 is to -1. Instead of like it is in the same direction, right? But still it was not showing any output. So I was
just tell me your string, not a problem. Tell me your string. What is the string that you have taken?
My name, Reddy. Yeah.
Okay, so you have typed my name, your name, right?
Yes.
So fine, Aditya. So A for ADITYA. Aditya. Okay. ADITHYA. Aditya.
Fine. Vardhan. VARDHN. Like
VARDHN. Okay, fine. So VARDHN. Fine. Now what you're trying to do? Tell me.
I was trying to do negative slicing, like A of 0 is to -5 is to
0 of -5 is to
-1.
-1. Okay. So -5 is to -1, and you are getting blank, right, Aditya?
Yes.
This is the same output you are getting, right?
Yes.
And you are looking for the explanation. Okay, I'll tell you. Same scale notation that I have explained you. I will be using exact same scale notation. I will not introduce any new things. And with the help of that, I'll explain you. Fine. Now here, let's see. So this is my string which I have given, starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Agree?
Yes.
Now in a back side, so -1, -2, -3. Agree?
Yes.
Based on our discussion. Now you are doing trying to do what? A of 0 to 5. Now let's create a scale. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and then -1, -2, and so on. Right?
Yeah.
Now, so just tell me one thing. So you are trying to move from 0 to -5, right?
Yes.
You're trying to move from 0 to -5 over here. So 0 to -5 you are trying to move. Now where is a -5? So basically 0 is here, right? 0 is here. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. -5 will come somewhere over here. So 0 to -5. And then you have given a direction as a minus 1, minus 1. Now, if I'll tell you 0 to minus 5, you are trying to move. 0 is a positive indexes, right?
Yes. Yes.
So actually in this case, so here, let's suppose if I have a string, if I have two strings, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, and minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, and so on. So basically you are trying to move, can I say, from 0 to minus 5?
Yes. So I need to give you like positive direction.
Yes, and you are trying to jump into what direction? Minus 1?
Minus 1, yeah.
Can I say there is a conflict?
Yes.
Right? So got your answer?
Yes.
This is what happens. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Sudhanshu. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hi sir, I'm Rupashri.
Go ahead, question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for providing these classes, sir. And it's very great. And sir, I have a general question for you. Can you suggest the methodology, like how to Google? Like I'm a fresher, and I want to know like what
practice. There is no one who can teach you how to Google it, right? And there is no courses even available for that. Try to practice. If you are facing any difficulties, search on Google. You will try to like improvise it, right? That's the only way. There is no other way.
Even if I ask my friends, they are able to answer the questions, which is of a complex thing.
Yeah, that is fine, ma'am, because they have already practiced. They have worked hard and they have practiced, and I think you have not spent that much of time as of now. Spend the time. See, time is the only constraint. Effort is the only constraint, I would say, right? Which makes you different from others.
Yes.
So just try to spend time, and I think, like I told you, wait for 2 weeks and just try to spend time from tonight itself.
Yeah,
it's completely fine. If you will leave other priority work, it's completely fine. If you try to give a priority for this particular things, at least for 2 weeks, you will be able to polish yourself. You will be able to like develop yourself in every way, right?
Yes,
do it
from
now itself. It's completely fine if you'll not go to sleep for tonight. If you'll try to practice it, just keep on practicing everything. If you're not able to do it, even though it's fine, keep on searching, keep on practicing, keep on doing a permutation combination. Avoid copy and paste operation. Simple.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Fine. Next question, please.
Hey, Sudhanshu, Sujit here.
Go ahead, Sujit.
So as we mentioned, right, here in the list, we are calculating the number from 0 to 10 or something like a range.
Okay.
If I had 100 or 200 things,
okay,
do I remember all those things to put here?
No, not at all. So I will be able to get the indexes. That is one thing. I will be able to iterate over to it by using a iterable variables, by using a iter function, or by using a for loop. And those things will come into a picture. That is called as a data manipulation. So those things will come into a picture, and I will be talking about that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
As of now, I'm just talking about like how to declare a variable. That's it. Apart from a variable declaration, I don't think that I have discussed any fancy things in this particular class. Yeah.
Hi, Sudhanshu.
Go ahead, please, Asmita.
Hi, Sudhanshu. My question is very basic. I've been asking to try. I've been trying to ask this question since last 3 sessions, but I was not able to. My question is that I tried to join iNeuron for the batch which started on 28th of March, which was for data science. But due to some constraints, I couldn't join it. I'm already studying data science. I'm Googling and I'm finding out. I'm following Krish on YouTube. But I wanted to join this session, but I couldn't. So if I join it now, will I be able to make it? As in, since I'm learning Python from basic.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because like in any other batches, so recordings are already available, right? Materials are already available in those particular batches from the very first day itself. So yeah, you can do this. And yes, in a first place, you will have to spend a little bit of extra time, and with the extra time within 1 or 2 weeks. So I think you will be able to cope up with the other batches, because I think recently we have started batches, right? So I think you can do it, but still, if you are not able to do it, so we always try to provide a facility to our people, to our students, that if you're not able to complete something in this batch, you can complete in some other batches. So and that is also available. So there is no limitation that we used to put on a student that no, you have to complete in this batch itself, or you have to join in this batch itself. I think you are aware about the policies that we used to follow. So we don't have any issue. You can join anytime, you can complete anytime.
So if at all I am not able to join anything right now, and if I am asking few questions related to machine learning algorithms or something over Skype, like is it feasible for you guys to answer it?
Ma'am, see, we can answer, we can solve any questions. That is like feasibility wise, there is no issue, right? But the thing is, sometimes what we have felt is like, suppose if you don't know machine learning, right? And if you have not gone through a machine learning, and then if you got some assignment from somewhere or some question from somewhere, and now what people used to do is they completely used to ask us to like, okay, fine, so this is the data, this is the question, solve it. We don't do that. Simple. You have to attempt those things at least 50% and then solve it. Whatever project we will be giving you, whatever project assignment we will be giving you, because even those projects are not a regular project that we use, like you will be able to get.
Yeah.
So we used to provide end-to-end 100%. If you have some of your own custom concern or some of your own custom, I can say like use cases or project, we expect from you to like complete it by 50%. You must be having understanding, and then come to us and then explain us that what work you have done, and we will help you out to complete.
Yes, definitely that won't be the case that I just hand over the project.
Yes, because we always suppose, see, the thing is, so today maybe I can try to solve something for you, but tomorrow we can't support each and everyone.
Definitely, right? That is what I want. So, I want to go through go to deployment level, and that is the reason I wanted to join the sessions. So I want to do it on my own since I'm trying to make a transition.
Fine, ma'am. So just try to, you can maybe go through those things, those batches, and like recordings are available, code is already uploaded over there from the very first day. So you can just try to exercise it, try to practice it. Fine, we don't have any issue.
Hi, Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Hi, Sudhanshu. Hi, Sudhanshu. This question is related to the memory stuff that you had explained. You while explaining, you just mentioned that the memory is stored in the heap. Is that always? I mean, is it always?
No, it's not always true. Like I told you, so there is a RAM. So RAM is basically one memory location, not a memory location. It's a main memory, and inside the RAM, so there are a variety of the memory space. So we used to distribute a RAM itself into a various memory states. So some variable we store into a heap, some variable into a stack, some variable into a register memory itself, or volatile. So it depends what kind of a variable we are going to create, and based on that, it try to store it, or what kind of a processing we are trying to do, what kind of a thread we are trying to create.
So basically, do we have the control over where you want, like other
if
languages?
I talk about a C programming, so you have a fully control actually. You can even go to like a register level, and you can try to store a data in a register level itself.
Okay. So, and one last question related to the data slicing. I mean, what is the reason that, I mean, even though you mention a index of 5, it's still, I mean, is it something related to the programming stuff? I mean, why is it sliced? When you give 0 to 5, the upper bound is limited, right? I mean,
so yes, basically this is how library has been designed, sir. This is how library has been designed. So someone has written a code for this, right? People like me and you. So this is how this library is designed. So whenever you will try to do a slicing, it always excludes the upper bound, and that is a fact for a string, that is a fact for list, that is a fact for even a range function. That I will explain you. Yeah.
Thanks,
Sudhanshu.
Yeah. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I have a question on this list. You've the screen that you are sharing Aditya Vardhan. Now I don't know what is the count of that letter I. So I have to manually count from 0, 1, and 2. Is there a way to get what is the
Yes, sir. There is a function, direct function, which is available, COUNT, and you will be able to count. So suppose if I wanted to count I over here, I can get the count very easily. And there are likewise, so there are many more functions which is available. So more than 60-70 functions are available. And like I told you, so today I was just talking about the variable declaration. But in our going forward classes, I will be talking about all the functions with respect to a list, with respect to a string. So don't worry about that. But yes, as you have asked the question, and that's the reason, so I'm talking about this count. Okay, so fine guys, I think we are done for today. Thank you so much for joining the classes. Try to practice it. Practice is the only way. Apart from that, there is no other way to learn anything, whether it's a Python or any other things which exist in this world. So just try to practice it. Try to execute it by yourself. I will upload this video recording in your dashboard, and yes, I will upload a material as well. And so that you can practice, I will upload some assignments as well that you can practice. So probably by next class, which is going to happen on Friday. So after Friday onwards, we will start pushing our assignments, because as of now, it's just a basic that we have discussed. So even if we are going to upload assignment, what you will do? Nothing, I would say, most of you. So we will upload our assignment from the Friday onwards. I'm making this things very clear to in front of every one of you, and you can start submitting assignment, start completing the assignment, start testing yourself. Plus, we are going to launch some kind of a challenges as well, like a machine learning challenges, and you will get a notification for that one. And what you can do is, if you think that, okay, fine, so you are capable enough to participate and compete, go for it. So with that, thank you so much. See you again on our next class, which is going to happen on Friday. And feel free to ask any valuable question. And yes, so with certain constraint and rules and regulations, we all we all are abiding through some rules and regulations. So I think we all should follow that. And with that, I think it will be a great learning experience, and it will be a great journey that we have started. With that, thank you so much. Have a good night and good morning to everyone joined from India and abroad. Thank you so much, guys.